Welcome to toddfun.com, and this is part 2 of my Monroe 1651 engineering calculator. The last video, if you didn't catch it, was right before this one. It was on the teardown of this, essentially the introduction of what it was and so forth, and then the teardown and the look inside, and me learning about the different types of electronics inside. This time it's powering it up and actually putting it through some of its engineering paces to see what it really can do. That would be it's going to be an interesting lesson just to learn what this calculator can do. So let's turn around, get to the bench, and start looking at this old calculator doing its job. Well, this is the moment I've waited a whole year for, and that is power it up. We have taken it apart. I've cleaned it up, made sure that everything was hooked up and connected properly inside, no loose wires or nuts or bolts jangling around. So we're going to power on our 1651 Monroe engineering calculator. I'm going to be watching the current on the amp range through my fluke while I turn up the power on my Variac. My last video was on this, and it comes in real handy for powering up old electronics and stuff like that, so you can bring the line voltage up slowly. If I start seeing a lot of current or anything else astray, I can just crank her back down real quick, and then I know to fix something. So I'll start by turning on the calculator, but nothing will happen because the Variac is down. So I'm going to start turning up the AC over here. I'm going to turn it up in kind of stages. There is a 2 amp breaker built into this. If that has to go, it'll pop. It's a resettable breaker. There's a 10 amp breaker in line with this current meter. So we'll just go ahead and start bringing up the voltage. I'm going to bring up to about 30 volts and just kind of watch the current. We are starting to get current already. We're 30 volts. We're already at looks like 10 milliamps AC right now, line voltage. I'm just going to let it sit here for a while, and just in case there's certain things that want to warm up. It hasn't been on for probably 20 or 30 years, so I'm just going to let it sit here for a minute. So that's been a little while. I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to 60 now. Like we were up to 30 milliamps. And we're coming up on 60. That's 50. And there's 60 volts AC. And we're running at 100 milliamps. I'm just going to let her sit there for a while. And just in case something, I just don't want to over pressure anything right now. Though there are switching transistors in here that aren't really going to do anything to a certain voltage anyway, but still I just let things, it's drawing 100 amps, let whatever's drawing 100 amps be happy for a little bit. Here we go. I'm going to take it up to I'm going to take it up 10 at a time. Go up to 70. That puts us up to 150. Okay, I'm going to probably go ahead and go up to 80. Okay. Oh, I start to see some glowing. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to let it sit there for a while. We're 180 milliamps, and it looks like we're starting to have a little bit of power coming on some of these. I could go up a little faster, but being things are starting to warm up, I'm going to let them kind of warm up. How about flip the light off here, just so you can see that they are glowing. They are starting to come on. I'm seeing all zeros. I'm just going to let that sit for a minute and just sort of warm up there at 90 volts. Okay, it's been sitting at 90 for a while, and we've been pretty steady at 180 milliamps. I'm going to take it up to 100 and let it set some more. There we go. Now we're sitting at 100 volts and about 222 milliamps. That is a real nice current. That is a pleasant current to see for a Nixie tube display like that at this. So let's let that sit for a little while. And just so you know, over here I do have this voltmeter plugged in, measuring the volt output of this. I'm not just going on the dial, though this dial is within a half a volt pretty much of these markings I put on last time. I do want to still, for this power up, I definitely want to monitor the voltage very carefully. Okay, 10 more volts to 110. There we are, 110. Back in a few. Hey, the last 10 volts. We're taking up to line voltage here, which is 120. There you go. 120 even. Let me turn off. It's pretty bright for me. I'm pretty happy. Looks like we've got 240 milliamps almost. This is about the angle you would use it at, I would think. You can pretty much see all the keys from this shot. So let's do some math. Let's just keep it simple at first. We'll do 5 plus 5. Oh, nothing. I'm getting nothing. And the exponential didn't come up either. I'm going to power down. Give it a second, power back up, and maybe a straight on power up will be happier. Yeah, 5 plus 5 equals 10. Yeah, so bringing it up really slow did seem to cause it not to set properly with its code, because it is running, it does have that read-only memory that it has to have. So just powering it straight on is a fix. Okay, we got the power cord going to just the regular line. I'm not monitoring the current or the voltage anymore. For the most part, I'm just going to cover some of the things I know is working. Some things are not. Either I don't quite know how to use calculator, but I found a link at oldcalculatormuseum.com, and they had instructions on how to use the 1665, and so I'm pretty confident about using it. So I just think there's something either wrong inside, or we have a glitch. So first things first, let's just show that it does have the floating point. You can kind of see the decimal here. Every one of these vacuum tubes has a decimal point. So if I put in, say, 5, there's a decimal point. If I hit equals, then that fixes 5 in the system, in the working registry. If I wanted to put 5 again, I could then say that's that. So let's go ahead and clear. There's a complete reset, and then there's just a clear working registry. So I can say 5 plus 5 equals 10. I can say times it by 100, and I can say divided by 4. And so it's doing quite nicely, actually. With simple things like this, it doesn't seem to care that much about. Now, it gets a little tweaky in that, because the last thing I did was add. So, like say I said, add 5. Okay, I don't really have to hit add anymore. It just says you're in add mode. So if I said 1 and equals, it's just going to add. It knows that I'm in add mode. And likewise, if I were to say subtract 3, okay, and I could just say 1, I can just say we'll just do 2, so it should get a subtraction of 2, which we do because we're in subtract mode. So even though you can say subtract 2, it's just as happy to do that. So it does have like some shortcuts already. That's pretty keen. I like that. Let's say we'll clear and we'll show all the keys to work. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll notice the decimal place is going 6, 7, 8, 9. There's all of our digits, right? And then the sign can be changed with this button. So then we change our sign. That's nice. Let's see, something else that's working. We could say 4. Because I hadn't done a reset, so it thought I was still doing subtraction, I believe, is where I was at. So that will catch you, not remembering what mode you're in, and then thinking you're starting over, and you're not. Just hitting clear is just clearing the working registry. You have to hit a reset over here to clear out where you're at in your arithmetic. So now I could say 4, enter, it should stay as 4. And we can do invert is working that, so we can do the reciprocal, and that's pretty good. We can, let's see, clear everything we're working on. We'll do 25 and we'll do square root, and that seems to be fine. We're getting to the end of some things that are functioning. If I wanted to say I wanted to take 44 and I wanted to put it in memory 4, registry memory 4, I hit the down arrow key here, and that says put it down, and now I pick a memory. I'm going to pick memory 4. So now it didn't look like it did anything, but it put it in memory 4. So now I'm going to put 10 in memory 5. So I'll put that in memory 5. Okay, so that's done. Now if I hit clear, in fact even if I hit reset to reset my whatever mathematical equation I'm working on, I still have those saved in memories. There's like 9 memories, or what they call registries. So I can actually say, well, I'm working with those now, so I want to bring them up. So the up arrow key brings them up, back up to the display. So I can say bring up memory 4. There's our 44. And I can say add that to bring up memory 5, and that's 10. And now we're going to equals 54. And so I'm working with memories. That works really well, and you have a lot of memories to work with. And we can not only clear our current, and we can clear our equation. You'll notice there's a second function on some of these keys. Like this one has exponential 10, or e to the power, or e to the x. Over here you have sine and cosine, and the inverse of sine and cosine. And those are called second functions. And to use a second function, it's kind of funny with this machine. You are supposed to enter your operation, like 5, and then you enter like sine, you know, or 10 to the power, or whatever you want. And what it does is, if it has 2 functions on a key, it actually does both functions and puts them both into like a working memory. So like there's 2 layers. And then you can recall either the one that it did on top or the one on the bottom with the second function. I haven't got that working because I haven't gotten any of the second functions to work. And maybe that's something wrong with this, in that I technically, if I hit it, I don't know, if I wanted to do, I think it would be 2, and that's 2. And then if I wanted to actually say that's 2 exponent 2, and I get an error, and so, you know, it's probably got something wrong with it, and maybe it's the second function is just not functioning, and maybe that's the problem. So, yeah, there's many things that just aren't working outside of that, and it kind of gets pretty. I'm thinking there's something wrong, or I just don't know how to use a calculator. But I would think something as simple as sine just would be a hit. And this is supposed to just be pi. I mean, you're supposed to just like, hey, I need pi right there. There it is. And you should be able to hit that, and then up should come pi, but nothing. Maybe that key is not functioning. But I see the screen blank. It's definitely registering, you know, but nothing seems to happen, and nothing with the second function either. So it's not like it's not registering a key press, because I can see it flash. I wish it would more. I wish it would do more full-on functions, but it doesn't. So I got this key figured out. It's essentially add to whatever's in memory. So if I go ahead and put, if I currently look to see what's in memory 2, I go pull out of memory 2. There's nothing. So if I want to put 5 in memory 2, I go down arrow key into memory 2. Okay, I can clear. If I want to see that, I can then go pull out of memory 2, and we still have 5. But if I want to say add 2, right, to that, I can say 2, and now I can say add to a memory location, and these brackets mean memory locations or registries. So add to the registry, and now you got to fill in that blank 2. That's going to be what we add it to. Doesn't look like it did anything, but it did. It added that what was in the working registry to that stored memory 2. So now if we bring up 2, the memory, what's in memory registry 2, we should see 7. And let's do a 3 on that. So let's go 3 and add it in there. And so now we bring it up, it should be 10. Oh, I didn't get it. 3, add, oops, I'm doing it backwards. Ugh, doing it backwards. Okay. I gotta say 3 added to 2. There we go. That worked. So now we should see 10 when I bring up memory 2. So I bring up memory registry 2, and we should see 10. Okay. So boy, I'd really have to get used to this. I'm sure not used to having to work with a single line of entry at a time. And we can switch to exponential just like that. It flipped it up. It doesn't look like it do anything, but we're in exponential now. I would like it if it just hit equals or something and would immediately start showing that we're exponential. But really, you hit any operation and it goes, okay, this is where you're at. You're working in exponentials, and so now you're there. You know, I did that. I took that and added it to itself, didn't I? Oh, that's funny. Okay, so make sure I clear everything before I do that again. I can say that I want to be in 500 and I want to be in exponential. I am in exponential. So if I add 0 to it, I should see that. Yeah, so once you complete your full mathematical equation that you're working on, it's going to show the answer in exponential. Not necessarily while you're actually doing something, though. While you're working, it falls back into decimal, floating decimal mode. So then I could say, well, I'm going to add 100 to that. And so it's kind of going in and out of exponential. Basically, this just says show it in exponential, if you in the answer exponentially. Scientific notation. Now, I can get out of that just by switching back away from scientific exponential and hit enter, and it just slaps me back into regular floating decimal there. That's kind of easy to understand how that goes both ways. So that means I got all these keys going. This, I believe, pulls out whatever's in memory 1 or 0. This is always working registry 0, and so you can see it's got a 0 on it, and essentially it's hard coded to bring out of memory 0. So there's nothing in memory 0 now. But if I put, say, 9 into memory 0, now I've put 9 in there. You know, so now if I wanted to work with memory 0, I should really get over the keys more, but oh well. So now I can actually just bring it up at any time, so without doing a fancy keystroke combination. So if I wanted to add 1 to 9, I could say 1 add whatever is coming out of 0, which is 9, equals 10. And so this always brings what's in memory 0 up. And that's nice. You got one registry that's hard-coded to always come up. But these other brackets, you have to, the ones that actually just have regular brackets in it, you have to enter a number after you type it, so it knows what memory registry you're working with. It'd take a lot to get used to some of this stuff. So now I got what they would consider the exponent. It's just so that you can enter another number in exponential notation. So if I had, say, 20, and that's not exponential, there's no exponential, it's just 20, the number 20. But let's say I wanted to add, say, 500, but in exponential notation. So I would say, oh, I want 5, but I want to do it in exponential notation. And this gets funny. You actually got to type it kind of reversed. You can't type just 2 to get 500. So it's like 10 times 10 to the power 2, because that'll give you 20. And you got to type this leading 0 in, because there's two positions for your exponential up to 99. So you got to type in 0, and that puts up a 0, and then a 2. Okay, now I get 500. This is technically 500, and then when I say equal, that's going to add it to 20, because I was in add mode. And now I get 520. It's all working fine. This is all working fine. This is working fine. These two, the clear is working fine, the exponent is working fine. These two are not working, but notice they have two functions, and I'm thinking that's what's messing this thing up. I'm thinking there's something wrong with the second function feature of this calculator, and so any key with a second function, forget it. I got these all figured out for working with registries. Second function I understand, I just haven't gotten it working yet. It just doesn't bring up anything. I mean, I can switch between registry 1 and whatever's in registry, working registry, and the flip of working registry, which is currently 0. Okay, the concept of the second function is that you actually have two working registries. So if I put in say 2 and and I said, okay, that's my working registry. I could switch with second function. Basically, it's just saying my second registry, a working registry. So now I could put in, say, 5, and I got 5, and I could switch between the two working registries. There's 2, there's 5. I can add to 5. I can say plus 5 is 10, plus 5 is 15. I can switch back to my 2 registry. So you got to kind of keep in your head what's going on with your 2 working registries. So then I can like add 2 to that, and I got 4 and 15, and I could add those 2 together now if I wanted to. I could say, well, now I got working registry 1 is 4 and 2 is 15. I can say, well, let's add them. So you can actually just say, okay, there's 15, right? I want to add what's in the other working registry, which is 4, and that should equal 19. Bam. But the other number's still in the other registry, so you still got 15 sitting here. So if you wanted to, you could keep bouncing that up. I could actually say, add 1 to that, so I got a nice number. And I could add the 2 together and get 35. So I just take that plus that, 35, and now I got 35 and 20, right? The other thing that the second function does is that when you push one of these keys that has 2 functions, and you're doing things right, you've actually set up your equation properly, it's supposed to do both of these. It goes, okay, I'm going to do both 10 exponent x and e to the x, whatever number you enter. It's going to do them both, and it's actually going to populate both of these working registries. And so the way you get to your answer of your second function key is you just have to switch to the other registry. So you got to kind of know what registry you're looking at when you use your second function key. I think there's something wrong with my second. I think there's something wrong with the system, because I know that's how it works. I've read enough about this machine to know that that's how it works. It uses those 2 registries to put both answers in. I think there's something wrong, because anytime I use this key and this key and this key and this key, which have second functions, it don't work. I mean, I get just craziness. So I'm thinking it's got an imbalance there somehow. So I'll hit this key and I just get an instant error. For what reason, I don't know. Just not even an overflow, just an error. Just testing more things with double functions on them. So like if I were to do sine, if 0.866 and I did the inverse sine of that, it should be close to 60. And I didn't get that. And that would have been, even if I look at the second function, it's just plus and minus of that, and where it's supposed to be, once I've done something like that and then said, arc sine or inverse sine, and then the second function should give me either sine and cosine of that same thing, just because it doesn't know what you want. So it just doubles up the function, does both the calculations, and sticks them in both of those working registries. And it's supposed to switch between the 2 of them. If I were to do something like 60 sine, I should get the 0.866. So I'll clear everything. And let's say I did 60, and I just said sine of that. I don't get 0.866 at all, and I get nothing in the other register. So that definitely means it's not working. I mean, that is pretty simple trigonometry there. That should definitely not be a problem with these 2 keys. But they got second functions, and that's what's goofing up badly. Same with log and natural log. It's just goofing up terrible. So there's something just not right. Something would have to be fixed in this machine. Neither of these are both double functions. They aren't working at all. And this is just supposed to be pi. I'm supposed to hit pi, and I'm supposed to get both of those in both working registries, and I should be able to switch between them. And I get nada. Nada, nada, nada. So we got everything clear. We can take 1 factorial, take 2 factorial, 3 factorial, 4 factorial, 9 factorial. Gets kind of crazy when you get up into like 15 factorial. Yeah. Okay. 40 factorial. Watch that thing calculate. Whoa, it was invert, sorry. 40 factorial. There's some calculating time. It took it a little while to get there. Okay, so that's that. So I'll wrap up the review of the functionality there. I don't know what this key is with the circle and the line through it. If you know, let me know. These are just not working. These two just didn't do anything. They just didn't make any sense. They didn't do anything really. I think they are not working as well. The log sign, cosine are not inverse sine are not working. This I don't know what it is. The R with a -0 I couldn't figure out. And that's it. The rest of it worked. All the other memory stuff worked. So I may try and figure out something about to get it to work, but it's not really worth a lot of effort. But I'll probably tear it apart someday and just see if I can figure out why some of this functionality isn't working. Especially if someone can send me more information about how these are supposed to actually function. I never could find a manual online or any type of schematic or anything that would help me troubleshoot farther into this. And if it turns out to be something, a flip bit or a bad program that's been goofed up or chip, then there's not much I can do about it anyway. Well, thanks for joining this review of this Monroe 1651 engineering calculator. As you saw, I had some issues with some of the keys functions. They just didn't work, and there's some I don't know how they work, but most of them that I had problems with, they just didn't work. By all means, though, if you know anything about this calculator, contact me. Let me know. I'd be fascinated to make sure this is working 100%. So if you have schematics or users manuals that actually for this calculator, I'd really appreciate that. I think it's a very well built machine. I bet you it was just somebody's pride and joy for almost a decade when it first came out. I'm actually going to try my best to get it working here in whatever time I have. It's been a long day messing with it. It's fun. Waited a year to do this. It was really fun doing, but boy, it's been a trying day trying to figure out some of these functionalities and stuff like that. Kind of actually got to my limit. Patience working with trying to figure out, basically just trying combinations and reading some stuff on the internet. And well, that's the most I can come up with. Anything you can give would be great. Give a thumbs up if you like the review and the teardown. I'd like to do more of this kind of stuff. I'd like to learn more about this stuff. Subscribe to the channel. It always helps to have more subscribers. I get more revenue that way, and then I can provide more of this content. So thanks for joining, and see you in the next one. Oh, it added them. Why did it add them now? Because it's just a number. Okay. It's just a working number. Oh my God.